But we're going to begin tonight with the groundswell of outrage at the dismantling of the federal government. Now, I mean, to be fair, if all you listen to is the bragging of Donald Trump and Elon Musk and their MAGA-land allies on Fox, Newsmax, and CPAC, and wherever else all these people listen to things, about them talking about how great everything is going with DOJ and their mission to bring a chainsaw to the federal government, you might think for a moment, well, maybe this is going well for Trump. Maybe he's delivering on his plans. Maybe people like this. But in my many, many years in politics, one of the things I've found is that there is nothing like a congressional recess where members go home to their districts to give you a very good sense of exactly how things are actually going. I mean, just ask Congressman Rich McCormick. He's a pretty run-of-the-mill Republican member. He represents a red district in Georgia, which he won by 30 points, by the way, in November. He's probably not someone you'd see making the rounds on MAGA TV every single day, pushing Trump's talking points. I don't even know, and I've lived here for a long time, that I could even pick him out of a Republican lineup. And yet, despite being relatively anonymous on the national stage and holding what seems to be a pretty safe Republican seat for Congress, Congressman McCormick was not exactly welcomed home at a town hall meeting in Roswell, Georgia last night.
You can go and yell all you want, but I can't understand 10 people, let alone 100 people.
Okay, so the budget, not the president. And you are doing us a disservice to set that down and not stand up for us. And
So we're going to have a town hall, and I'm going to come and stand in front of you and take your questions and try to answer them as honestly as I can. Then let's do that, okay? But if you're going to just yell at me, that's not going to be an effective town hall.
Now, multiple attendees specifically took issue with Musk's so-called chainsaw approach at DOJ.
I want to say that from a conservative perspective, the approach of DOJ is completely 180 degrees. They've been indiscriminate and they've taken a chainsaw to these things.
I understand trying to do more with less. That's reasonable. What's not reasonable is taking this chainsaw approach. Why is this being jammed down the pipe so rushed and sloppily?
Now, the repeated use of chainsaw does kind of make you wonder if they saw this at CPAC yesterday and thought it was as weird as we did.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw! That's good. All right.
As the NBC affiliate in Atlanta reports, there were so many folks in the attendance ready to give McCormick a piece of their mind, the venue actually ran out of room.
There were a couple hundred people who came out here tonight filling council chambers. Then the rest filled up overflow rooms inside City Hall. It was standing room only. Dozens of people, in fact, who showed up here on this very cold night were actually turned away because, again, there was too many people inside City Hall.
Now, what happened in Roswell, Georgia, that we've just seen footage of, was the result of a combination of things: an intentional grassroots organizing effort and regular everyday folks who were just fed up with what Trump and Musk are doing. It was not an isolated incident either. I mean, just this morning, Republican Congressman Glenn Grothman of Wisconsin got an earful from his constituents near Oshkosh.
If Elon Musk is there, he will be able to raise questions, and because of his fame and financial success, I think all of a sudden he is going to be able to force Congress to look at things like aircraft carriers, which wouldn't happen otherwise, okay? Obviously, President Trump has issued a lot of executive orders. I think by and large, this is moving very quickly compared to other administrations, and I think across the board, he's done some very good things. I think.
I mean, there was a lot packed in there. There was laughing as he tried to explain Elon Musk's effectiveness and power. There was booing. There was a lot of response in there, is one way to say it. But here's the larger point. I mean, similar scenes played out at Republican town halls in West Bend, Wisconsin, and Baker City, Oregon. And in some ways, it reminded me a little bit of the Tea Party protests we saw at town halls in 2009 and 2010, which was an early indicator of the Republicans sweeping Congress. Now, there's a long time before that, and there are definitely some clear differences between then and now, because the Affordable Care Act was not sending your grandma to death panels, as those Tea Party protesters claimed. And Elon Musk is actually openly boasting about what he's doing to the government that people at these town halls are mad about. But like the start of those 2009 protests, there does seem to be some real grassroots momentum here, enough that Donald Trump had to address it today.
Some members of Congress in red districts are facing pushback from voters in town halls. We know that Americans voted for you on immigration and the economy, but these voters say they're angry and frustrated by these firings. They don't like the work of Elon Musk and these other actions. What do you say to them?
Let me just tell you that I have today the highest poll numbers I've ever had. I have today the highest poll numbers of any Republican president ever. They like the job that Elon's doing. He's doing something that a lot of people wouldn't have the courage to do. So it's actually just the opposite. We've polled it, and people are thrilled. They can't even believe it's happening. And it won't affect many people. It'll only affect the people that get caught stealing.
There is a lot packed in there. But to be clear, he's lying. I mean, these thousands of fired workers were not caught stealing. That tone is definitely one of a person who's not exactly confident in the actions of the person they are being asked to defend. And for the record, the opposite is actually true about the polls. People don't like what Musk and Trump are doing. New polls from CNN and Gallup and the Washington Post all have Trump with a negative approval rating. And as the Washington Post notes, Americans disapprove by a 2-to-1 margin of Musk shutting down federal agencies that he decides are unnecessary. And most, 63%, are concerned that his team is gaining access to sensitive personal data of individuals for good reason, because they are. Now, that doesn't sound very popular to me. Sound popular to you? We're just over a month into the Trump administration, and one day of uncomfortable town hall meetings definitely does not flip the House to Democratic control in Congress next year. But it is a sign that people are mad, and that this may not be shaping up to be what they voted for. That's important.